So here we have the calculated paper from the 2019 HIA, and this is question 13. Now this question focuses on the relationships between derivatives of functions and integrals of functions and how to calculate them both. And the question tells us the rate of change of a function with respect to x is given by 3x squared minus 16x plus 11. So it tells us that here. It then tells us the graph with the equation y equals f of x crosses the x-axis at this point, and I want to find f of x in terms of x. Now, one thing to make sure you remember is that when it says the phrase rate of change, what that refers to is the derivative. So based on this sentence here, what I can do is I can say that f dashed of x is equal to that equation 3x squared minus 16x plus 11. So what I want to do is find the original function y equals f of x. So in order to do that, I have to integrate this with respect to x. So I know then that f of x is going to equal the integral of 3x squared minus 16x plus 11 dx, because it's with respect to x. So I'm just going to go along and integrate each term on its own and then see where we go from there. So then f of x is equal, now remember, if we have a term that's ax to the power of n, when I integrate it, I get ax to the power of n plus 1 divided by that new power, n plus 1. So when I integrate it, I do that. So I do this and apply it to every single one of these terms. So I'll end up getting 3x cubed over 3 for the first term. Take away 16x squared over 2. Then plus 11x for that third term there. And what we've then got to take into account is the fact there could have been a constant here at the end. Remember, if you take the derivative of a constant, it goes to 0. So I've then got to add on a plus c. Now remember, this is an indefinite integral, i.e. we've no limits upon it. So we have to include that plus c. If it was a definite integral, we'd have limits here and we could calculate a value. But because we don't, we've got a plus c. Now let's simplify this a wee bit and say fine, so I've got f of x equals x cubed minus 8x squared plus 11x plus c. So we've got that there. Now, I've got a plus c here, and the ideal scenario is we eliminate that c. We actually figure out what the constant is. But in order to do that, we have to have some condition on the graph. Now, whether that be something like a generic point on the graph, x-intercept, a y-intercept, something like that. In this case, the question tells me it crosses the x-axis at the point 7, 0, and it is y equals f of x. So what that means is if I substitute in the y value for the f of x and 7 for the x value, I can use that to calculate the value of c and then get my full solution there with the correct constant. So if we substitute them in, what I can then say is that 0 is equal to 7 cubed, take away 8 times 7 squared, plus 11 times 7, plus c. So what I can do is simplify this side here, and then rearrange it to get c equals and find that constant of integration. So each term on its own, 7 cubed is 343. That's then going to be take away 8 times 7 squared, which is 392. Plus the 11 times 7, which gives me 77 there. If I simplify all of this, what I'll end up getting is that 0 is equal to 28 plus c. So from that, I can say that c, my constant of integration, is equal to negative 28. So what I can then do is take this and plug it back into the formula to figure out what f of x is, and I can write that f of x is equal to x cubed, take away 8x squared, plus 11x, take away 28. There we go. Done. We've found our f of x from all the information that's there. We've got rid of the c, the constant of integration, and we have our exact function here. So this kind of question here, this was worth 5 marks. So our first mark is for knowing how to handle the rate of change, so knowing that either f dashed of x is equal to that, or writing that we get the original function f by integrating. Second mark is for integrating any two terms correctly. Third mark is for completing it and including the plus c. Fourth mark is for then using the point, the 7, 0, and substituting it in, like we've done here. And then the final mark, the fifth mark, is for finding out our c, but specifically for writing out the expression for f of x. Remember, the question wants us to express f of x in terms of x. So it specifically asks for us to express it that way. So writing f of x equals this part here with the plus c, and then putting c equals negative 28, we haven't expressed it in terms of x yet. We have to substitute in the minus 28, and we have to then write out an explicit answer there at the end in order to get that final set of marks. Don't lose a silly mark because of it. Make sure you answer every single step and every single little part of the question, particularly that final line of communication, telling them what they want to know and what they've asked you to tell them.